If you're watching this video, you just been clickbaited as fuck, boy.
Gotcha, bitch.
Now, hear me out before you leave. Just hear what I gotta say. And this video is important to multiverse longevity, so let me not waste any more time and just get right into it. So, as the title suggests, Save Multiverses is currently trending on Twitter, and at this time of writing, has gotten thousands of tweets and hundreds and thousands of views, with one post reaching over 6 million views. Also, the gameplay of Season 5 has received tons of insane positive press and feedback around it, and once again put eyes on me and the critique community that has helped push this competitive aspect the direction it's going. Which, you gotta give us credit, as the current iteration has received insane amounts of positive feedback since the game's original launch. We've been grinding behind the scenes trying to get these things pushed, and while people were skeptical against our ideas, a lot of them have been being pushed, and yes, as you can tell, a lot of people love it. So with all this wind around the game and so much eyes on it with all the changes made, I figured, why not continue my conquest to make this game better, even if it's only for a glimmer of hope to keep this game alive. Honestly, there's just too many people in this community I care about and its longevity, so while I did make a previous video on how to handle loss of a community, does not mean that I'll stop and I won't go out and keep on swinging to make this game the best as it can be. So if you're new to my channel and this community, I just want to start by saying me and a lot of players who critique this game have been extremely busy, as mentioned. And while I and others have not been credited directly, there has been certain, I guess I'll just say hints, that devs watch my videos and have been making adjustments based on my critique. Only like one or two though. For instance, me making a video on issues with hitboxes, them addressing it in the next Into the Verse, shields being unfinished and they retract a lot of his criticisms I mentioned about it, hitballs being insanely busted and it's been regularly adjusted, things like frame data not making sense and they do a frame data overhaul on attacks for the characters that I mentioned, that even if you do the correct tech you can still get punished, so they increase the auto tech range. Parrying a projectile puts you at a 13 frame disadvantage, which they ended up adding a 10 frame advantage so you can parry again, which is a 3 frame window. You know, just one or two things. And while I really don't matter directly being credited for feedback that's been used in my videos, I will say that it would be awesome if they would just acknowledge the fact that they have been taking our feedback into consideration. And based on consumer feedback, every one of these changes have been extremely positive, and I've personally been told to make the game feel much smoother. And while accounts like Save Multiverses for MVS spread awareness, and people who moderate known multiverses groups like Lex Luthor and Godzilla for Multiverses, I too will do my part with these videos to bring awareness to issues that plague the game currently and how it will help fix things. Until the wheels fall off, baby, let's go. Even though I'm talking about these things and critiquing these things, I really enjoy this game and I'm really happy about a lot of the changes they have made and a lot of people who have given their feedback alongside me that have got these things pushed. So I might be dogging this, but don't get it too twisted. I really enjoy this game and I just really want to see this game go further. So what is my next critique that needs to be fixed? These freaking shield breakers, man, they are so bad right now. But before I even start, I want to say huge shout out to Tuggernuts for putting this frame data together for Shieldbreaker. I trust Tugger's frame data, so I will be using a lot of it for this video. He is truly best banana. Also, I'll be going into the idea that you understand what Shieldbreaker is, but for those who haven't played since it's been added or come from another platform fighter, just think of Shieldbreaker as Multiverse's way of implementing a grab in this game. Trust me when I say that Shieldbreaker is this version of the rock, paper, scissors that a lot of fighting games use. So at its core, the idea of Shieldbreaker isn't bad. A person blocks too much and when you catch them slipping, you throw it out and bam, you break their shield and punish them. It's to add that paper, rock, scissors element that I mentioned that fighting games usually have. This is what I mean by this is like this game's grab. But there's one huge glaring problem with Shieldbreaker. It's too niche to be considered a viable option to open players up. I just want to state that before I explain this next part, I will have to go into a little bit of a fighting game history lesson. As to understand why shield breakers are so bad, you have to at least understand the basis of the idea of rock, paper, scissors and what it stems from. Platform fighters are no strangers to controversy and fighting game spheres, as its idea of engagement are not the same as traditional fighters where you're locked into the direction of your opponent and movement is locked towards them. Platform fighters have very free movement and you are not locked in engagement. So when neutral leads to an attack or a punish, free movement oftentimes allows attacks to be more safe than what they normally would in a traditional fighting game setting. This is why often you see a lot of close neutral and platform fighters leans towards more on hard reads, safe pokes, and grabs rather than reactive whip punishes and baits. This is why grabs in platform fighters are more controversial compared to traditional fighters, as opening a player up in traditional fighters with grabs leads to a more advantage options as players are locked in as opposed to platform fighters where the player is moving. So to compensate for this, platform fighters often have grabs reward you heavily, leading to strings or combos that you normally wouldn't get in those same scenarios. This makes the risk versus reward pretty great and makes grabbing and neutral worth the effort. Notice how I said neutral, not while being at advantage, as blocking an attack and punishing with a grab isn't really a function for a grab as it is so much punishing a disadvantaged attack. So whether you do a grab or an up B after blocking somebody's attack, those aren't necessarily the paper rock scissors formula, as those mainly used for punishes. So with those that play multiverses or are familiar with the RPS idea of platform fighters, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, Shieldbreaker does that when it connects. It leads to a huge punish. And I say to that, you are correct, but it's only partially viable as a solid option in the RPS philosophy in fighting games. Shieldbreaker does reward you for breaking shield and breaking shield only, nothing more but a whole lot less. If you use this attack in any other scenario, it is dog water doo-doo butt cheeks, with little to no usefulness compared to other attacks. Now this isn't even talking about the inconsistencies of Shieldbreaker, which I'll be calling SB from now on compared to its attack counterpart. For example, LeBron's SB versus his neutral attack or Jason's SB versus his down tilt. I'm talking about a lot of other issues that come with this. For example, Arya's SB is frame 13, which is tied with others for fastest shield break and has little to no usefulness out of breaking the shield. Also, the frame data doesn't really match across the board, which I would be fine with if they use different expressions that matches their kits in general. For example, Samus and Zero Suit Samus having some of the slowest grabs in Smash Bros. Ultimate, but each one of them have follow-ups that lead to different scenarios that are unique to their characters. But with every SB only having one universal option to break their shield, their usefulness makes a weak third option as an RPS idea. Grabs at their worst gives the opponent an option to punish for a wrong read, but at their best leads to gimps, mind game reads, massive combo potential, and KOs, while Shieldbreaker at worst gives the opponent a punish for reading wrong, like missing grabs, but at best gives a combo and a kill at high percents. And don't get me started on the end lag of these attacks. With very little momentum and dodging and performing an SB, and other options just being overall better and leading to combo strings, Shieldbreaker is even more of a hard read at best in neutral. And some of their hitboxes are just flat out completely obsolete to others. It's almost like it wasn't tested properly and were rushed into the game to counter an unfinished mechanic. Okay, I'll just stop there. I'm not going to go down that road again. Just watch one of my other videos and how I feel about shields. I'll link them in the description. So how do we fix this? By giving SBs more utility, of course. As mentioned, I don't mind the differences in frame data of shield breakers, but their usefulness and how they blend in with their kit is in question. Shaggy's shield breaker is a headbutt going in a down animation. Why can't his shield breaker just bounce them? Why would you ever perform Nubia's shield breaker when she has a neutral special that's more utility in almost every aspect, and she has a forward smash that can kill better than her shield breaker? At least give her something that complements it with either a down vertical slash or something to be able to compensate her weak points on the ground. This ideal would be no different than what other platform fighters do with their grabs, and another thing that will hold this game back, even if it's on the gloomy possibility of a shutdown. I feel that once we get this idea under wraps, that the game will be pushed further into its meta and characters will feel more unique and overall make the game way more fun. So that's it for this video, and hope it was enjoyable. Did my suggestions cook, or are you okay with Shieldbreaker's current iterations? Okay, let's just not kid ourselves. No one's okay with their current iterations. But regardless, if you enjoyed my video, give it a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And subscribe if you want to see more content on my attempt to save multiverses by pointing out things that need to be fixed. Because trust me, I do have more. But I would be lying and saying that this game hasn't came a long way, and I'm glad that they're listening to a lot of the players giving this critique. So thank you guys once again for your support, and until I see you guys next time, peace, love, and show out.